Hello everyone and welcome back. I am Phoenix and we are here with another Star Trek Online tutorial, so a STO Academy type video. So today I'm going to be discussing the engineering or operations career. So as you can see here, this gentleman here, he's wearing yellow, which is the color of engineering or operations. So what it says here is survivability, support generators, and controlling the paths of enemy advance with field works. The engineering officer can withstand the most damage by improving the performance of their own personal shields by supporting his or her away team with power generators or by bottlenecking the enemy's advance with defensive minefields. The engineer's own combat effectiveness improves by modifications to their firearms or support fire from fabrication turrets and drones. So they're kind of lumping, ground and science a little, or ground and space in there a little bit. For space combat, engineers are more typically the tank. They can take a lot of hits. Not as powerful, but they can take a lot of hits. Whereas the tactical, which I previously talked about, is more of a hard hitter, but is very squishy. So if you got an engineering with a tactical, you get a nice even keel. And then when you have the science, which I'll talk about in a later video, you'll see how they'll mesh very well together. So, like I said, I'm not the best at ground combat, so I really don't talk about ground combat as much. It's something I really should get into and start working at, being better at, because, it is a mechanic of the game. It's just not a very fun one, sadly. So that's engineering in a nutshell. Move on to what type of ships and stuff like that engineers are you typically in. Okay, so as I mentioned, engineering characters are the tanks. In order for them to be tanks, especially in space combat, you're going to need a ship that's going to withstand damage. So what do engineering characters typically use? Well, that would be cruisers. Okay. So cruisers are much larger ships than escorts, and they have a lot more hit points or hull points and better shields than an escort would. The typical equipment or gear that a engineering character would probably use is beam arrays, dual beam banks, and torpedoes. Now, I mean, you could use torpedoes with any ship or any build or any career, but typically you see cruisers. They generally have. Let me get rid of this. They generally have 8 weapon slots in a sense, 4 in the front, 4 in the back. Typically with escorts, you usually have 4 in the front and maybe 3 in the back or something like that. There are rare occasions where it's 4 and 4. But yeah, like I said, typically it is 4 and 4. You generally get more engineering consoles than anything else. This particular ship, the Guardian Cruiser, is a nice. It seems like it's a nice balanced ship, and you usually get more device slots. You always have 4 device slots on a cruiser usually. The lower tiers not so much, but once you get to the higher tiers, you generally get 4. The thing about cruisers is they are slow to maneuver. Now, in this case, this one can maneuver a lot better because of the RCS accelerators, which help improve turn rate. You can see that 40%, 40, and was that 37.5%. So you have that turn rate, as you can see here. Like, it doesn't turn on a dime like an escort can, but it does turn around nicely. In addition to usually horrible turn rate. Cruisers, I mean, they're not known for their maneuverability, but they are known for what's called broadside attacking. So if there's another ship, now I don't know my port and all that fun stuff, but if they were, say, on the port side here, you know, you would fire, right, from your side of the ship, kind of like how two pirate ships lined up and they shot cannons at each other. That kind of broadside is what it's called. So, you know, you're hitting the side of the other vessel. For those that are tanks, I've seen some squishy engineers. I used to be one. I'm now getting into the more tankish part of engineering. What you can do is you can, what I like to do is I increase my threat generation as a cruiser, and I use like fire at will, and if I have torpedoes, you know, what's that one? I can't remember. The one where the torpedo spread, right? So you're firing at multiple enemies at the same time, and you know, you can hit multiple enemies, and with the threat generation, you are going to aggro the enemy onto you, so you're taking the brunt of the hit. And if you're that much of a tank, you're going to be pretty much laughing as the enemy's trying to destroy you, while the escorts and other and the science vessels are hitting them where, you know, where they're focused on you and they're not focused on the other guys. So, you know, you're going to be basically bait in a sense. If you're going to be a tank, be a bait and just let them attack you, and you can just, you know, while you're sitting there firing at everyone, you know, you can distract the enemy long enough to help your friends out, whether they need to be healed or whether they can attack without being, you know, shot upon. So, you know, engineers have a great, you know, ability to do maybe not so much damage, but they can take a lot of hits. And yeah, like I said, for weapons, beam arrays, dual beam banks, torpedoes, 360-degree beams are awesome for cruisers, just because you know, like I said, the maneuverability is not that great. So 360-degree beams are awesome for cruisers, just because of the slow turn rate. Sometimes engineers will use a carrier, which is a much larger version of a cruiser, and the turn rate is even more horrible. So, and again, they use beam arrays. 360-degree beams are better. Not a lot of people use dual beam bank arrays in the front, just because the turn rate is not that great unless you got RCS accelerators, which, you know, you could put 4 here and, you know, you still have a decent turn rate. But, you know, you have to always look at, when you're building an engineering tank type character, do you want the turn rate, or do you just want you know, to be that survivability tank where, you know, you can take the hits while you're dishing it out, you know? So those are things that you know, you need to look at when you're building an engineering character. So yeah, other than that, I don't know what else to talk about. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a lot. For me, I don't really use engineer characters as much as I use a tactical character, so I'm kind of limited on, you know, my talking points, and I really don't have time to write out a list for talking points, so everything I do is ad lib, and everything is off the top of my head. So if I miss anything, please comment and let me know. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Good old thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, that's fine. You can give it a thumbs down and share the video and whatnot. And we will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.